From legendary meltdowns to disastrous parties, we've compiled a list that will leave you both cringing and laughing with 20 worst parties in rock history. Get ready to be stunned, shocked, and utterly amazed as we uncover the wildest, most outrageous moments in rock and roll. Let's begin. 20. Ozzy Osbourne's Bat Buffet. Ozzy Osbourne is famous for his legendary status as a rock icon and his wild lifestyle, which often included excessive partying. As the lead vocalist of Black Sabbath and later a solo artist, Ozzy became synonymous with the rock and roll lifestyle, characterized by raucous parties, heavy drinking, and wild antics both on and off the stage. Throughout his career, Ozzy's reputation for partying preceded him, with numerous stories and anecdotes highlighting his extreme behavior. From biting the head off a live bat on stage to his struggles with addiction and substance abuse, Ozzy's life has been a roller coaster of excess and intensity. Who could ever forget the jaw-dropping Bat Buffet hosted by none other than the legendary Ozzy? It's 1982. Ozzy's on his Diary of a Madman tour and things take a dark turn. The Prince of Darkness himself was known for his outrageous antics, from tossing raw meat into the crowd to receiving bizarre objects in return. But on January 20th, 1982 in Des Moines, Iowa, Ozzy's shocking stunt took a macabre turn. A daring fan, Mark Neal, tossed a real dead bat onto the stage thinking Ozzy would laugh it off. Little did they know, Ozzy mistook it for a rubber toy, bit down hard, and, well, chaos ensued. The crowd was left in disbelief, witnessing Ozzy spitting out a bat's head. Some thought it was all part of the show, while others were downright disgusted. But that was just the beginning of the madness. Ozzy, in shock and fearing rabies, continued the concert, cementing his status as the ultimate rock and roll madman. He later confessed, "I thought I was going to die." The aftermath? Rabies shots every night for the rest of the tour. The Bat Buffet incident went global, turning Ozzy into a rock icon. He embraced the chaos, releasing a plush toy bat with a detachable head in 2019, and even penned a song, Flying High Again, immortalizing the Bat episode. While Ozzy's partying days have been tempered in recent years due to health concerns and a commitment to sobriety, his legacy as a rock and roll party animal endures in the annals of music history. He remains an iconic figure whose larger-than-life persona and legendary partying escapades continue to captivate fans around the world. 19. Guns N' Roses' Hell House Party. Guns N' Roses should surely be part of this list. Offstage, the band indulged in the rock star lifestyle to the fullest. Heavy drinking and outrageous antics were common occurrences, contributing to their reputation as one of the wildest bands in rock history. Their partying ways were legendary, with stories of their backstage antics and wild adventures becoming part of rock and roll folklore. Guns N' Roses' reputation for hard partying added to their allure, solidifying their status as quintessential rock stars. There's a mansion known as the Hell House, which became the center of chaos for Guns N' Roses back in 1985. Fresh from their Hell tour to Seattle, the band transformed this one-room space on Sunset Boulevard into their den of debauchery. It wasn't just a place to crash, it's where they lived, jammed, and indulged in all sorts of wild antics. In 1985, after their Hell tour to Seattle, Guns N' Roses took over the Hell House, turning it into a den of rock and roll madness. This was more than just a living space because it was a cauldron of creativity, chaos, and fire hazards. Hold on tight for the tale of Axl Rose, the band's frontman, naked and high, tearing through the living room on a stolen motorcycle. The chaos reached its peak when he crashed into a couch, narrowly missing his sleeping girlfriend. Police intervention and a night in jail couldn't quell Axl's spirit. He returned the next day, ready to rock on. Amidst the madness, the Hell House birthed iconic tracks like Welcome to the Jungle and Sweet Child O' Mine. It served as the crucible for Guns N' Roses' rebellious spirit, creative energy, and their reputation as the most dangerous band in the world. 18. Nikki Sixx rocks until he drops. Nikki Sixx, the bassist and co-founder of the rock band Motley Crue, has a reputation for his intense partying lifestyle. Alongside his bandmates, he became notorious for living a wild and hedonistic lifestyle characterized by heavy drinking and all-night partying. Nicky's partying antics were legendary, with numerous stories and incidents highlighting his extreme behavior. He was at the center of the rock and roll scene during the 1980s, a time known for excess and indulgence in the music industry. However, like many rock stars of his era, Nicky's partying lifestyle also had its darker side. So, it's December 23, 1987, and Nikki Sixx, the iconic bassist of Motley Crue, is living life on the edge. Joined by rock legends like Slash and Steven Adler of Guns N' Roses, Robin Crosby of Rat, and David Ellefson of Megadeth, the stage was set for a night that would go down in infamy. But this wasn't just any rock and roll bash. It was a heavy metal extravaganza fueled by a dangerous cocktail of excess. The Franklin Plaza Hotel became the backdrop for a night filled with legendary shenanigans, with one element standing out above the rest: a surplus of mind-altering substances. As the night unfolded, Nikki Sixx found himself teetering on the brink of disaster. The party took a dark turn when Sixx overdosed and his heart stopped for a terrifying 2 minutes before medical intervention brought him back from the brink. In his own words detailed in The Dirt, Confessions of the World's Most Notorious Rock Band, Sixx recounts the surreal experience of leaving his own body. Imagine this: Nikki Sixx, the tattooed rock icon, lying lifeless on a gurney, covered from head to toe with a sheet, en route to an ambulance. 17. It was Vince Neil's fault. Vince Neil, the singer from Motley Crue, really liked to party. In the 1980s, when the band was popular, he was known for drinking a lot and using substances. He was famous for living a wild and crazy lifestyle, like many rock stars of that time. But his partying caused some problems. In 1984, he got into a car accident that led to someone's death. This made him think about his life and the things he was doing, or so we thought. Motley Crue, the kings of glam metal, and Hanoi Rocks, the rising stars, both had a penchant for revelry. Both bands joined forces for what was supposed to be an epic celebration during Hanoi Rocks' first American tour. The stage was set for a legendary party that went on for days in the heart of Los Angeles. These rockers knew how to push boundaries, and the revelry reached an unprecedented level. The result? A never-ending party that drained the city of its beer supply. Vince Neil of Motley Crue, already in a state of intoxication, decided to embark on a beer run with Hanoi Rocks drummer Razzle. But here's where the tale takes a tragic turn. Neil, driving at a staggering 65 miles per hour in a 25 mile per hour zone, lost control, colliding with two oncoming cars. The aftermath was devastating. Broken bones, brain damage, and the loss of Razzle's life. The consequences for Neil, though, were surprisingly light. A 30-day jail sentence, of which he served only half, and a $2.6 million restitution payment marked the end of his legal troubles. 16. Calm down, Billy Idol. Billy Idol, the iconic rock musician, was known for his rebellious attitude and penchant for partying during the height of his career in the 1980s. Idol's music and persona embodied the spirit of punk rock and glam culture, and his wild lifestyle often mirrored the intensity of his performances. During his prime, Billy Idol was notorious for his partying escapades, which included heavy drinking, drug use, and living life on the edge. Billy Idol soared to fame in the 80s, fueled by hits like White Wedding and Rebel Yell, courtesy of the revolutionary MTV. But as the decade reached its zenith, so did Idol's penchant for wild living. In 1989, fresh from a breakup with his girlfriend Perry Lister, Idol embarked on a reckless journey to Thailand with a friend. What ensued was a weeks-long bender that pushed the boundaries of excess to their limits. Fueled by a cocktail of substances in a quest for hedonistic pleasures, Idol and his companions spiraled into a world of debauchery. Their escapades knew no bounds as they indulged in a relentless pursuit of pleasure, switching from alcohol to cocaine and ultimately stumbling upon what Idol claimed to be the most potent heroin available at the time. Their exploits left a trail of destruction across multiple hotels, with damages tallying up to a staggering $20,000. But the party didn't stop there. Idol's reckless behavior reached such alarming heights that the military had to intervene. In a candid confession to classic rock, Idol revealed how the drugs had unleashed a violent streak, leading to wanton destruction and chaos. It wasn't long before the Thai army stepped in, escorting Idol out of the country on a gurney, marking the end of his actions. 15. Led Zeppelin Snapper. Led Zeppelin was famous not only for their groundbreaking music, but also for their legendary parties. The band's members, particularly Jimmy Page and John Bonham, were known for their wild and extravagant lifestyles, which often included lavish parties with excesses of alcohol, drugs, and rock and roll. These parties became part of the band's mythos and contributed to their reputation as one of the most decadent and hedonistic rock bands of the era. The tales of Led Zeppelin's legendary parties have become an integral part of rock and roll folklore, adding to the mystique surrounding the band. It's 1969 and Led Zeppelin and Vanilla Fudge check into the Edgewater Inn, a hotel that lets guests fish from their rooms. But hey, these rock gods had other plans for their fishy catch. Legend has it they turned a harmless red snapper into the star of the show, using it in ways you couldn't even imagine. Yeah, you heard me right. They turned the party up to 11 with a little help from the sea creature. Now, the details might be as murky as the Puget Sound waters, but one thing's for sure. It was a night these rockers and their groupie would never forget. And get this, folks, Frank Zappa even immortalized the madness in a song. The Mud Shark became an anthem for the wild and untamed spirit of rock and roll excess. Despite the secrecy, Led Zeppelin dropped hints about the infamous bash. Robert Plant teased Rolling Stone about their simple pleasures, while Jimmy Page spilled the beans to Guitar World about the notorious Red Snapper. 14. Freddie's Birthday. Freddie Mercury was the extraordinary lead singer of the legendary band Queen. He had an electrifying stage presence and an unmatched vocal range that mesmerized audiences worldwide. It's nice that no one has forgotten about him, especially his parties. Let's talk about Freddie Mercury's 41st birthday bash held in the picturesque setting of Ibiza at the Pikes Hotel. It was the kind of soiree dreams are made of, where 700 of his closest friends descended upon the island for a night that would go down in rock history. The scene was set with balloons as far as the eye could see, requiring 3 days and a small army of hotel staff to fill them with helium. And the guest list? Oh, just a casual mix of rock legends like Bon Jovi, actors like Anthony Quinn, and even the muscles from Brussels himself, Jean-Claude Van Damme. But what's a party without the bubbly? Well, let me tell you, they went through 350 bottles of Moet and Chandon champagne like it was water. And let's not forget the piece de resistance, a towering cake modeled after the Sagrada Familia Cathedral in Barcelona. And just when you thought it couldn't get any more extravagant, a fireworks show lit up the night sky, leaving bystanders wondering if they were witnessing the onset of the next World War. 13. Courtney Love's Grunge Gala. The queen of controversy herself, Courtney Love, throws a grunge gala that redefines the meaning of wild. You do know who she is, right? You might know her as Kurt Cobain's partner, but she has also lived a fascinating life full of ups and downs. She's known for her raw talent and bold personality. Despite facing many challenges, she remains a strong figure in the music industry, captivating audiences with her unique style and powerful performances. Back in 1992, grunge ruled the airwaves with its raw, unfiltered sound. Bands like Nirvana and Pearl Jam weren't just making music, they were creating a cultural revolution. And where there's revolution, there's bound to be some epic partying. Courtney Love's grunge gala held in the heart of Seattle was the stuff of legend. Think September 13th, 1992, a night dedicated to honoring the late Andrew Wood, former frontman of Mother Love Bone. The guest list reads like a who's who of rock royalty: Eddie Vedder, Chris Cornell, Dave Grohl, and more. But it wasn't just grunge icons who turned up. Madonna, U2, and Metallica added their star power to the mix, creating a combustible cocktail of fame and frenzy. From live performances to impromptu jam sessions, the Grunge Gala was a spectacle unlike any other. Nirvana, Pearl Jam, and Temple of the Dog lit up the stage with electrifying sets, while the crowd reveled in the haze of booze, drugs, and pure rock and roll spirit. 12. Prince's Purple Rain Rendezvous. On August 3, 1985, at the First Avenue nightclub in Minneapolis, Prince closed out his Purple Rain tour with a bang. The venue transformed into a purple wonderland with lights, balloons, and banners, and guests were gifted with purple jackets, hats, and sunglasses. Prince himself adorned a purple suit, shirt, and guitar, setting the stage for an unforgettable purple night. Prince treated the audience to his greatest hits and offered a sneak peek of his songs from his upcoming album Around the World in a Day. Covers of classics like Ain't Nobody and Just My Imagination showcased his diverse musical prowess, featuring collaborations with band members, protégés, and new signings. Dancing, singing, and festive atmosphere filled the air as Prince played host, showcasing his lovable personality and unparalleled talent. It was a moment of gratitude to his fans who had supported him throughout his career, with Prince declaring, "Thank you for making this the best tour of my life." 11. Happy Birthday, Mick Jagger. Back in the 60s, while the Beatles were singing sweet love songs, the Rolling Stones were cranking out tunes about spending the night with someone special. It's no surprise they knew how to turn up the volume when it came to parties. Mick Jagger, the lead singer of the Rolling Stones, was famous for partying during his long music career. He's a big name in rock and roll, and his band was super popular in the 60s and beyond. Mick was known for having wild parties and living life to the fullest. He was always the center of attention, going to big parties and hanging out with famous people. People loved his energy and style, both on and off the stage. In the 1960s, when rock and roll was all about rebellion and freedom, Mick Jagger was right there leading the way. He enjoyed the wild lifestyle that came with being a rock star. Mick Jagger's 29th birthday bash in July 1972 was unforgettable. Following a killer show at Madison Square Garden, the Stones hosted a massive 500-guest bash at the St. Regis Roof Ballroom. But that was just the beginning. While paying guests called it a night, elite VIPs like Zsa Zsa Gabor, Tennessee Williams, and Woody Allen kept the celebration alive. Dancers, jam sessions with Count Basie's band, blues by Muddy Waters, and R&B vibes from Stevie Wonder turned the night into a musical marathon. And what's a rock star's birthday without an epic cake? Enter the mostly naked Andy Warhol muse Jerry Miller, hidden within the layers of Mick Jagger's birthday cake. Now that's a surprise even the Stones frontman didn't expect. 10. Motley Crue's Rodeo Drive Rager. This band was famous for its wild partying lifestyle. The band members, including Nikki Sixx, Tommy Lee, Vince Neil, and Mick Mars, were known for their excessive behavior both on and off the stage. Motley Crue's music and image were all about rebellion and living life to the fullest. They sang songs about partying, relationships, and the darker side of life. Their wild behavior, which included heavy drinking, drug use, and outrageous antics, became legendary among fans and in the music industry. The band's partying lifestyle was often glamorized in the media, with stories of their wild parties and antics making headlines. They embraced the rock and roll lifestyle to the fullest, embodying the spirit of excess and rebellion that defined the 1980s music scene. Back in 1987, Motley Crue, known for their rock and roll excesses, decided to take their party to the upscale Rodeo Drive, a far cry from their usual stomping grounds. It was a collision of high-end shopping and rock chaos that shook the very foundations of luxury retail. Fresh off the release of their fourth album, Girls, 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 which glorified their wild lifestyle of strip clubs, drugs, and motorcycles, Motley Crue was riding high on fame and fortune. With sold-out arenas and stadiums on their world tour, they were living the ultimate rock star fantasy. But for Motley Crue, fame and fortune weren't enough. They craved more, pushing the boundaries to new extremes. And so, on a fateful day off in Los Angeles, they set their sights on Rodeo Drive, accompanied by their manager Doc McGee and a security team whose attempts at control were futile. They went to Bijan, the self-proclaimed most expensive store in the world, catering to the elite with its appointment-only policy. Motley Crue paid no heed to such formalities. They stormed in, trying on clothes, shoes, hats, sunglasses, and jewelry with reckless abandon, heedless of price tags. They indulged in champagne, cigarettes, and cocaine, shocking the store's staff and clientele. The owner, Bijan Pakzad, eventually called the police, but to no avail. The band hadn't stolen anything. They simply charged $250,000 to their credit cards, a sum equivalent to $600,000 today. 9. Queen's album launch. As you already know, this band was amazing. Who could overlook the legendary Queen? Known for their electrifying performances and larger-than-life presence, Queen's parties were nothing short of epic. From Freddie Mercury's commanding stage presence to Brian May's soaring guitar solos, every moment was a celebration of rock and roll at its finest. Back in the late 1970s, Queen, one of the biggest bands around, decided to celebrate their album Jazz in a way that was anything but ordinary. Freddie Mercury, the amazing lead singer, didn't hold back. With a huge budget of £200,000, he turned a fancy hotel in New Orleans into a party palace. Freddie wanted the party to be unforgettable, so he hired all sorts of wild entertainment. There were contortionists, fire eaters, drag queens, and even a guy who shocked everyone by biting the heads off chickens. Can you believe it? No wonder people called it Saturday Night in Sodom. It was wild, crazy, and totally unforgettable. 8. No more alcohol for Ace. Kiss is a famous rock band known for their big songs and flashy stage shows. Their hits like Rock and Roll All Night and Detroit Rock City are huge. Gene Simmons and Paul Stanley, the band's leaders, are like classic rock stars with their confident style. But behind the scenes, their guitarist Ace Frehley, also known as the Space Ace, had a different story. In a talk with Eddie Trunk on SiriusXM in 2019, Frehley shared his struggle with alcohol. He started drinking when he was just 13 and battled addiction for years until he finally got clean in 2006. His turning point came when his daughter confronted him about his drinking habits and begged him to stop. Frehley had some wild moments during his drinking days. In 1979, he appeared drunk on Tom Snyder's Tomorrow Show and caused a stir with his jokes, much to his bandmates' annoyance. He even called himself the band's trout player. Another time, while riding in a limo with the band, Frehley chugged a bottle of perfume, believing it had alcohol in it. 7. Stevie Nicks knows. Stevie Nicks was not immune to the allure of the rock and roll world. In fact, she dove into the scene with as much passion as she put into her mesmerizing performances, characterized by her swirling shawls and haunting melodies. Reflecting on those days, Nicks admitted that she, along with her bandmates, struggled with addiction. In her interview with Rolling Stone, Nicks revealed the depths of her illness, confessing that she reached a point where she was the most dependent on cocaine among them all. Her delicate nature and heavy use made her particularly vulnerable. Reports from Zoe Howe's book, Stevie Nicks, Visions, Dreams, and Rumors, paint a grim picture of her problem. The consequences of her actions were severe. Nicks's excessive snorting caused physical damage, leading to a hole in her nose lining and frequent nosebleeds. By 1987, her body rebelled against the constant drug abuse, resulting in blackouts and dangerous falls. Despite warnings from doctors about the grave risks to her health, Nicks found it difficult to break out of its grip. It wasn't until her Fleetwood Mac bandmates staged an intervention and she sought help at the Betty Ford Center that Nix finally confronted her addiction. Even then, she confessed to feeling reluctant to leave behind the white horse. At least with determination and support, Nix embarked on the journey to recovery, ultimately breaking free from the destructive hold of addiction and reclaiming her life. 6. Billy Joe Got Mad. Green Day has come a long way from being a loud punk band in Berkeley, California. Led by Billy Joe Armstrong, they've tried new things like concept albums and Broadway shows while keeping their punk energy. At the 2012 iHeartRadio Festival, Green Day was playing alongside pop stars like Taylor Swift and Rihanna. Each band had a set time, and when Green Day got a 1 minute left message, Armstrong got upset. He went off on a rant, swearing and complaining about only getting 1 minute. He smashed his guitar, said he wasn't like Justin Bieber, and left the stage angrily. Later, Armstrong admitted he was really drunk during the performance. He decided to get help and went to a rehab clinic to deal with his drinking problem. 5. Elton John's Rocket Man Rendezvous. Elton John's Rocket Man Rendezvous was a big, flashy event full of people. It happened in 1978 during his tour called Louder Than Concord at Dodger Stadium in Los Angeles. Elton wanted to make it a special night celebrating space and science fiction inspired by his song Rocket Man. The stadium was transformed into a space-themed wonderland with lights, lasers, and fireworks. Elton wore his flashy costumes and even arrived and left on a fake rocket. During the concert, Elton played his famous songs and some new ones too. He even sang covers of other famous space-themed songs. Of course, he sang Rocket Man twice, at the start and end of the show. The fans loved it. They sang along and cheered for Elton. They enjoyed the whole spacey atmosphere and had a lot of fun. 4. Woodstock '99. Woodstock was originally a huge music festival held in 1969 in upstate New York. It happened during the Vietnam War and had famous artists like the Grateful Dead, The Who, Janis Joplin, and Jimi Hendrix. In 1999, organizers decided to bring back Woodstock for its 30th anniversary. They invited big names like Elvis Costello, DMX, and the Red Hot Chili Peppers. But this time it didn't go well. Woodstock '99 turned into a mess. There were too many people and the facilities couldn't handle it. People didn't have enough supplies and the bathrooms were terrible. The fields were full of garbage and sewage, making everything muddy and dirty. Some people got really sick from the heat, and sadly, 3 people even died. Woodstock '99 was supposed to be a huge party, but it turned into a disaster. It showed that sometimes trying to recreate the past doesn't work out the way people hope. The atmosphere of peace and love was replaced by chaos and frustration, leaving many attendees disillusioned with the event. 3. Marilyn Manson's Expedition. Oh, and let's not forget about Marilyn Manson. Marilyn Manson is another figure who stirred up quite the controversy in the rock world. His parties were as dark and twisted as his persona, with shocking theatrics and boundary-pushing performances that left audiences both mesmerized and scandalized. In the height of his fame in the 1990s and early 2000s, Manson cultivated a persona that embraced the darker aspects of life, including partying and indulgence. His concerts and public appearances were often characterized by a sense of spectacle and theatricality, contributing to his reputation as a provocative and larger-than-life figure in the music industry. During a 2002 show in Michigan, Marilyn Manson pushed the boundaries too far. Clad in a G-string, Manson jumped on top of a bouncer's shoulders and proceeded to perform suggestive actions. In court, it was described as Manson gyrating his hips, thighs, and pubic area against the bouncer's head, neck, and face. While it may have made for a shocking dinner story, the bouncer received a civil settlement as compensation for the incident. Throughout his career, Manson has been known for his provocative stage presence and shocking theatrics, often blurring the lines between art and controversy. His persona as a cultural icon of rebellion and nonconformity has attracted both fervent fans and staunch critics. While Manson's partying lifestyle has been a subject of fascination for fans and media alike, it has also been accompanied by controversy and criticism. Allegations of substance abuse and erratic behavior have occasionally overshadowed his musical achievements and artistic vision. 2. Party like the Toxic Twins. In the 1970s and 1980s, Aerosmith was really popular in the music world. They made hit songs and had exciting performances that caught everyone's attention. But along with their music success, the band members also liked to drink heavily and do crazy things. Their partying stories became famous, like the wild parties they had backstage and the adventures they went on. Aerosmith's reputation for partying made them seem like real rock stars, embracing the rebellious and carefree spirit of rock music. Let's talk about Steven Tyler and Joe Perry, the famous duo from Aerosmith known as the Toxic Twins. They were like kings of wild parties. They loved causing chaos. Even Jerry Garcia, a super famous rock star, said they were the most pumped up group he ever saw. Tyler spilled the beans about their wild nights, drinking everywhere and wrecking hotel rooms anywhere. But get this, they were so caught up in the rock and roll lifestyle that they missed out on other stuff, like having lots of fun. Tyler even said, "I wish I had more fun in the 70s." Crazy, right? They were more interested in trying different types of cocaine that came from faraway places. From Led Zeppelin smashing hotel rooms to Guns N' Roses throwing wild parties backstage, rock stars knew how to have a good time. But behind the scenes, these wild parties often had serious consequences. While the rock and roll lifestyle seemed glamorous, it took its toll on the musicians involved. Substance abuse, strained relationships, and health issues were common among those living the high life. Despite the adrenaline-fueled nights and the thrill of the moment, many rock stars found themselves battling inner demons and struggling to maintain their sanity. The price of fame was steep, and for some, the party eventually came to a crashing halt. 1. G.G. Allin. It's time to talk about the notorious G.G. Allin. G.G. Allin was an extreme and controversial figure in punk rock. He was infamous for his wild and often destructive behavior, which extended to his partying habits. Allin's performances were known for their shocking and confrontational nature, often involving nudity, violence, and bodily fluids. Partying for G.G. Allin wasn't just about having a good time, it was about pushing the boundaries of what was acceptable and challenging societal norms. His shows were ultra chaotic. Now, forget everything you know about punk rock because G.G. Allin took it to a whole new level. This guy wasn't just a musician, he was a force of chaos and controversy. G.G. Allin's shows were more like an extreme art performance than your typical concert. Wild, noisy punk music blaring, and G.G., well, doing things that'd make your grandma faint. G.G. Allin's parties were anything but ordinary. The craziest story goes back to June 27, 1993. G.G. Allin was set to perform at a dingy Manhattan club called the Gas Station. The gig barely got started before chaos erupted. Allin found himself in a bare-knuckle brawl with a member of the audience, and soon enough, he was butt naked on the pavement outside. Sadly, the night took a tragic turn. Despite the wild antics, G.G. Allin's party ended in tragedy when he overdosed on a lethal mix of substances. And there you have it, 20 worst parties in rock history. Which rock party shocked you the most? Let us know in the comments down below. That's it for now. Thank you so much for watching.